speaker today has earned the reputation of being America's #1 how-to sales trainer. Over 5 million salespeople, entrepreneurs, and sales managers on 5 continents have benefited from his live training events. He has perfected his selling skills during his 8-year real estate career, in which he received numerous awards. In his last year selling real estate, he sold 365 homes, an average of 1 per day, something that has been unheard of at that time and rarely matched. Since that time, he's developed and customized his proven effective selling skills for over 350 companies. He's authored 20 books on the subjects of selling and success. Over 2.9 million copies of those books have been read by sales pros the world over. He is also the 2013 recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Academy of Best-Selling Authors. And he's been acclaimed as the #1 sales guru 2 years in a row by Global Gurus. He's dedicated his life to helping sales and marketing professionals improve their communication skills and increase sales revenues. So thank you, Tom Hopkins, for being on the Anxiety Free podcast today. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Joyce. And you know, the name of the show itself is so intriguing because all of my career of training, I've tried my best to convince people in the field of sales, marketing, management, that the game, selling is a game within the game of life. And one of the keys is to know how to release stress and anxiety with the games you play so that rejection and the no's you're going to obviously receive don't affect you emotionally to where the anxiety puts you into your danger zone, leaving your anxiety comfort zone. So when I first heard the name of your show, I thought, wow, fits in nicely with one of my foundational concepts I teach.
Wow, that's fantastic. And it is foundational. I agree with that it's, first of all, it's a job, right? It's not something that should make your self-esteem suffer in any way. And you treat it like a game, and it becomes a game, and you can actually have fun with it. I just think sales is a fantastic profession because it's so transparent.
Right.
Both as a business activity and as you as a person, it really does kind of incorporate everything you have going on, what you're thinking, who you are as a person, and really helps you strive to get to the next level, both professionally and personally, which is for an active learner like yourself and myself and our listeners, should be, hand in glove, something we love to do. So thank you for bringing that point up. That's fantastic. So I prepared a list of questions for you today because I didn't want to miss anything, since we have the sales guru, Tom Hopkins, with us. That doesn't happen every day. So I'm going to ask you the first one. Your LinkedIn profile said no company can be stronger than its sales force. Let's start with that one. And why and how should a company develop its sales force?
Well, first of all, I really believe that in our free enterprise capitalistic society, that selling is foundational for almost any company in one way or another to get people to do business with them. And that, of course, is selling and marketing. And I really believe that a company is only as great as the way they position themselves to bring their product or service to the marketplace. And then at point of sale, the professionalism of the people that are what we call salespeople. And I think the key is to have training available to where the people that are new can, as quickly as possible, gain the knowledge necessary. And I've always taught that we do 3 things in selling. We educate with valuable information the person that we're presenting to. We then motivate, which means we want them to take the motive for the action. And then, of course, we have fun with it. And I have always found that if you have fun with what you're doing, and that's why I've tried to train the people that I teach, that make selling a hobby, something you have fun with. You read books about your hobby. If you're a golfer, you watch golf videos and you watch the tournaments. And that's the way you have to do it in selling, where you really become a student of the art form and master the fundamentals, as we'll be talking about in our short time together.
That's fantastic. It's so such a great way to look at it. Make it fun, right? Make it, and use the word game, the game within the game. So you're all about having a good time at work, which I love. And I know from personal experience, I've, ring, ring, called people and, said something like, would you like an appointment today? No. And it just like tickled me. And I just started laughing. I'm like, well, you sound pretty sure about that, so you just can't take it too seriously, right?
No, you really can't. Life's too short. Have fun with it. And you're going to get rejected. And we'll talk a little bit about how to turn the anxiety of no into the positivity of yes.
There you go. Okay. And then I also noticed on your profile on LinkedIn, you have your phone number right there at the top. I thought, interesting. You don't see that very often. So I was just going to ask you about that.
Well, we do that primarily because I have such a wonderful staff. The average Tom Hopkins International associate's been with me over 38 years. And we are like a family. And that phone number they can call, and based on what their needs are, having a booking with me personally, being it an audio or a video, or any of the products that we offer, this gives them a chance to talk and be sent to the person that handles that part of our company. So that's why I have that number up there right away. So they'll be directed to the person that, based on their desire, will handle their needs.
There you go. And they don't have to go searching for it. That's the part I think I like best.
Yeah, me too.
It's easy to pick up the phone and call, right?
All right.
Always be selling.
Well,
right.
I call it the ABCs, which is always be closing and always be selling. And that's just, the fun part of the life we live.
Yes, yes. Coffee is for closers, right? My brother, he's in real estate, and we were talking about how he asked for a bottle of water from his office, and they wouldn't. They're like, no, that's for the clients, and we made a joke about only winners get water. Coffees get right. Winners get water. But okay, so let's see the next question. What 3 tips do you have for salespeople to thrive?
Well, I would say, first of all, you must be a master with product knowledge. And the people listening right now that are managers or owners, I did something when I went into real estate management after my 5 years of selling homes. I then became a manager of a big office. Mm-hmm. And I found that when I hired a new person, the first thing I would do, because in real estate, as an example, passing your exam and getting a license has really little to do with the real art form of listing and selling property. So what I would do, and I'm going to suggest this to the folks listening that are in management, I would suggest you have a list of, say, 25 of the most important things that a person that's coming into your office must know. Mm-hmm. And you can write it out, or you can make it an email. And I used to sit a brand new person in an office for about 2 hours with the sheets of memorization that I wanted them to learn. Because if you can't answer questions to a client, and if your manager's not there to assist you, you're going to probably lose a chance to make a good transaction. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I would say is really have in-depth product knowledge. Then, of course, the second thing I would say is you must master what we call the people skills, or the 7 fundamentals of selling any product or service. And all activities, be it golf, football, baseball, or selling, has fundamentals that you must master, you must educate yourself with. And the third thing is I would strive to find a mentor or mentors that have walked the walk you want to walk and have done what you want to do. I found that when I went into real estate, I was taught this, and I found the top highest income person in the company, which was a woman named Rose Lane. And I called Mrs. Lane. I told her I was a brand new realtor, scared to death, didn't know a thing, and asked if I could go along with her on appointments for a while. And she was gracious. She said, please, I'll let you ride along with me showing homes, come over when I take a listing. And that was the greatest thing that I found. So in-depth product knowledge, and then find a mentor that can really to show you why they're the top income earner. And one thing I've learned, Joyce, is top income people, they want to help and reach down to people and have them do better. So that's the three things I would suggest.
Those are all very good points. And there's so much that, having been in new situations over my career, that it just didn't exist. It's kind of like, here you go do it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, okay. And just figure it out.
Here's your desk, here's your phone, lots of luck, you're on your own. And that, of course, was so true.
Yes, absolutely. And I love, the mentor part. So, and I guess that's why new agents a lot of times will join a team in order to be mentored. And to sell 365 homes in a year, that's outrageous. I'm a realtor and I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
Well, my manager called me in about November 15th and said, Tom, are you aware of what you're doing? And I said, well, I'm doing my best, working my heart out to help people invest in homes and list their properties and get them moved. He said, but are you aware that I just did some figuring and you are averaging one home sale a day, which has never been done. And he said, I guarantee you, if you can make it happen to where you do 365 closed home sales and averaging one a day, that it'll be something that will be renowned. And of course, the year I did it, the general manager of our company let the National Association of Realtors know. And of course, my phone started ringing, and I had never thought I'd become a seminar instructor, an educator, speaker. I hadn't planned that. But all of a sudden, I'm getting all these invites, Joyce. They want me to come and speak and teach. And then I started doing that, and I fell in love with that. And then luckily, a man said, you've got to write a book. And so it took me 3 years to write How to Master the Art of Selling, my first book. But that opened the door. And I try to get people that want to be a speaker. And when I started doing it, there was 14 National Association of the Speakers in the country. Today, there's 4,500. So wow. There's a lot of people that want to be speakers and teachers. And so, again, I would say you be a master of what you do. And I was fortunate to have mentors that were great speakers who helped me. And again, set some records, write a book. And when it hits the New York best-selling list, your door will be open forever, and you'll never need a prospect for an engagement.
Okay, that's good advice. I just need to write a best-selling book.
There you go. Get started tonight.
There you go. What am I doing this afternoon?
Right. I think I'll bang out my book.
There. I have your book, so
great.
I'll go through them again. I love reading. I just think it's such a blessing that people will invest their time and energy into putting their knowledge, all that they've been through for $20 or whatever. That's right. Book. I think it's the best deal on the planet.
It is. Excellent. Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you for everything that you've shared. Let's see. So after 40 years of being in sales, and I asked this question in the first book I wrote. I'm working on the second. Didn't hit the New York Times though. The next one will. What do you wish you've been at this for 40 years? So what do you wish you had known then that you know now?
Well, gosh, I would say I would have liked to know when I was young and first started the importance of constant prospecting and doing everything you can to talk to more people every day. Because what I learned over the years is, and listen carefully, activity will breed productivity. And if ever you see a little slump in your career of selling or marketing or any business, it's probably because the month or two before you maybe cut down on your quality activities. And so that's one of the things I've tried to stress is have a lot of activity, keep talking to a lot of people with a lot of follow-up, a lot of keeping in touch, and you'll build a foundation. And I call it prospect your way out of ever having to prospect. Yeah. And that's what you have to do. In my first 3 years, I only took 3 days off, kind of fanatical. But I was like a lot of folks I meet today. I had something to prove. I went to college for 3 months, and when I quit, I came home, and my dad, who was so believing that if I didn't have a degree, I'd never be anything. And when I told he and my mother that I decided I'm not going to college, I'd never seen him cry, and tears filled his eyes. And he said, "Son, we'll always love you, but because of you quitting college, we know you'll never amount to anything."
Oh.
And in a way, that was my first motivational talk, because when he told me I'd never amount to anything, I had something to prove. And I find, Joyce, that some of the men and women that I have at seminars that come up and tell me their private story, that's what happened to them. For some reason, age, color, creed, sex, whatever, they were told or believed by someone that they couldn't do it, couldn't be a success, and they had something to prove, and that's why they outworked everybody until they built the momentum. Then building the momentum, they then were fortunate to not only have a great income, but then became somewhat successful to the point where people wanted to take their advice, wanted them to mentor them. So that's kind of what happened to me.
Wow. That's amazing. And you're right about that. I know for myself personally, I can think of 2 situations that really just hacked me off. And, one being told I would never graduate college and end up in jail. And I was like, really? Thanks so much. And so I did graduate college and I got my MBA. And then the other one was when I was starting my company that I grew to 125 million and took public. The lawyer laughed in my face when I told him my plans. And he questioned me. He's like, "And what do you do?" I was like, "Well, I'm a stay-at-home mom right now, but my background's this." And so anyhow, he just really, every time I want to slow down or back off, I would just think about his laughter. It became my rocket fuel. So I think you're right. I think people that have that inner drive anyway, that's just like throwing gas on a fire.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well said.
But I hope your dad lived long enough to see what you became.
Well, what was really wonderful, I, again, found my niche. And I think that's one of the keys to long-term success is whatever you do for a living has to be your niche. And I call the niche something that's not work because you love to do it. And because you love it so much and you're so happy having fun at it, you really get good at it. And so that was my first, I think, benefit was real estate sales became my niche. And I communicated well with folks. I, again, found that mentor. I studied like crazy what to say to people, how to handle a listing appointment, showing a home, presenting an offer, a counter offer, and so forth. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, when How to Master the Art of Selling, my first book came out, we then started opening our training up to anyone. And so I would say now real estate's maybe only 5 to 7% of my audiences, because we've tried to take our training to anyone that sells for a living.
Right.
And we have, Joyce, approximately 11 million salespeople involved in the sales and marketing in the United States. And most of those folks have not been fortunate to have professional training, and a lot of them do well because they have, let's say, good communication skills. They're the interesting extrovert that gravitates into sales naturally, and they do well. But they could do so much better if they found a mentor, a trainer that could help them get all the rough edges knocked down. And because in selling, there's so many little nuances, so many little phrases you say, there's words you don't say. And all this is how you build that repertoire of saying the right thing the right way to the right people, and that gets them to go into the yes mode and do business with you, not once, but for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You're dead on with that as well. And I've always found in my life personally that any money that I invested in myself came back to me thousandfold.
Yes.
You might get a whatever your return on investment is for the stocks you pick. But if you invest in yourself, you'll get exponential returns.
Definitely. I so agree.
And you're right about a turn of a phrase. I was listening to something yesterday around real estate, and I heard something. I thought, that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that before. And what a great comeback when somebody questions your commission. So I think that's a valid point. Like, learn from the people that actually have been doing it for a while.
That's right.
And know what to say, and study those scripts and really internalize them so that you can come across as polished. So all good stuff. So let me see what we got here. So what do you say to a salesperson who is experiencing anxiety, and how do they overcome their fear? Clearly, what we just talked about would be part of it, being prepared, right?
Right. And I lived by 5 words that a man taught me when I was a kid. And I started living by 5 words: do what you fear most. And I started saying to myself, I've got to keep doing that which I fear, then I'll overcome the fear. And some of the things you fear most and don't want to do, or what successful people do daily, until they're so successful they don't need to do them anymore. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing. Another thing I did was I decided to teach people that the no's in selling have to be like a game you play. For example, right now, the folks listening to us, let's just say that I'll make general figures, that I earn $100 if I get a person to say yes and invest their money with me. I make 100. Let's say I have to talk to 5 people to get that one that says yes. Well, if I get 1 yes to earn 100, 4 people taught me no. So I divide the 4 no's into the 100. And now each no has a dollar value of $25. Mm-hmm. Well, if you take that as a company, let's say a person makes $1,000 to close a sale. Well, if they have that formula, they're making $250 when the person says no and doesn't go ahead. Mm-hmm. So here we've played a money game with the anxiety of rejection by putting a value on the no's, not only on the yes that we get paid for. So there again, it's kind of a game.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Tom's about having fun. But I love it. It's true. It's so true. So they say no to you, hang up, you be like, thanks for the $250.
That's right. Thanks for the 25.
It's going in my pocket.
That's very good.
That's it. That's a great way to think of it. How do you connect with people? And are there any specific approaches that you've identified along the way that would help our audience connect more deeply as they're going about their selling and their networking and relationships?
Yeah, let me give them a couple ideas. First of all, people in our country, for the most part, are nice people. And I found that if I was ever in a situation where we're in a position to talk to a person, I would try to make it an advantage and a benefit to them. Like, say hypothetically, Joyce, that I was in a building and I was in the elevator and you walked in. And right now, many people in an elevator would not want to talk to the other person. But I always found that if I would smile and say, hi, the upper management of my company has asked me to talk to a few people about our business, and I'd love to exchange cards with you, and maybe I could send you some business. Does that make any sense? Well, see, that little question of sending them business, asking, and always let them know upper management has asked you to talk to people. Because see, they all usually have people above them in the company who are asking them to do things that maybe they don't want to do, but they have to because it's the job. So that's one concept. By saying upper management's asked me to share our information with folks, and so as part of my job, to keep my job, I hope you won't mind if I tell you a little bit about what we do. And I also felt that if I could network with people to where if they had a company and I could send them business. And of course, I had an automobile salesperson, an insurance agent, a computer representative from IBM, and I had four folks that were in sales in other industries. And we would send business back and forth. And I refer people to the person that sold cars. If they said they were looking for a new car, they would send me business looking for people looking for homes. So networking is a viable, and social media is a very viable way of doing business. And it should all be done today.
I agree 100%. And it really does take teamwork, right? To
Yes.
dream work. And the sooner you start building that foundation, the better off you'll be. And like you said, you'll get to the point where you don't necessarily always have to prospect so hard once you build that, for lack of a better word, book of business, book of relationships.
Right.
To help you get where you want to go. And I was curious, you had touched on activities. There's social media, there's cold calling, there's going to networking events. What was your favorite way to stay busy when you were working those 3 years?
Well, back then, we didn't have all the wonderful things that people have today. Today, the average salesperson has access to such great technology, but I will also throw out a warning. High technology can be a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing to save time, to create more benefit to people, but it's a curse if you hide behind it and aren't willing to put your ego on the line and make calls or meet people. And my life changed when my manager took me out into the field, and I had to knock on some doors scared to death. But all of a sudden I had a listing appointment that turned into a sale. All of a sudden I made a little money. All of a sudden my life started changing. And that 365 homes I sold was not, of course, my first year. It was, my fifth year. And that's when they started asking me to come and do seminars, because if you can close that many home sales, which the home sale is a very complex transaction with a buyer, a seller, other brokers, title companies, insurance agents. I mean, there's a lot of people you have to satisfy to close a transaction.
That's right.
And you said the word team, and that's what I built. I had an escrow company, a mortgage company, FHA, VA, conventional, and all these people knew how many sales I was making, so they worked their hearts out to not only get my business, but to keep it. And this is something else I think the folks listening should be aware of, that build a team of experts to do the things you shouldn't do so you can do the things that make you the most money. Let that sink in.
Yeah. Think on that for a minute. Know what those core strengths are. For me, it's prospecting, it's getting in front of people, going on appointments, negotiating and contracts, and all the other stuff is stuff that's right. Other people that can handle that. So if I can stay focused on those activities, I know I'll be doing okay.
You sure will.
And you also touched on social media, which you just wrote a book on. So why don't you talk about social media and Tom Hopkins? What's your
Well, I was very fortunate. I had a man that is a master of social media, and he contacted me and he said, I've been reading your books for years. I would be so honored if we could write a book together. And of course I said, hey, Dan Portick is his name, and he's a master at this. And I said, hey, I would love to write a book on not only social media, networking, and so forth. And we, of course, it's called Fill Your Funnel, which is really, I think, the key is to build a business where your funnel is always filled with people. And again, it's a numbers game in the beginning to where you build this funnel, then you master the follow-up and become a specialist in that. And that I found my last 2 to 3 years, I had no time to prospect because I had built this funnel of people who relied on me, who called me, who sent referrals and so forth to me. So this, I think, is one of the keys, is fill that funnel, and you'll never have to prospect because you'll have so many people that believe in you, that care about you, that they'll help you build your business.
I just need them to come on down right now.
Exactly.
And for those who are newer, that you're in the building process, I heard recently that a good way to know how long you should prospect, because that's always like, well, do I have to prospect 8 hours a day, every day, 5 days a week? Determine how many, for example, houses, since we've been talking about real estate. If you want to sell 20 houses, since, 365 is quite an accomplishment. So we'll start at 20. Maybe you get 5 that come to you naturally through your social network, your family, friends, past clients that you've worked with. And then you know that you have to come up with 15 more sales. And so just plan every day, okay, I'm going to call at least 15 people every day, day in, day out, and you'll end up hitting those numbers.
And I think one thing people need to do is find out what your long-term and your short-term financial goals are. Like, what do you want to earn this year? And let's just throw a figure. Let's say you said, this year I'm going to break 6 figures. Okay. Then you have to analyze how many sales must you make to earn that type of commission or that type of override or income. Then you need to find out, and you can do this through asking some of the top people in your company about how many people do I need to talk to this year to get that many sales and that much income. Now I break it down to a weekly, a daily, and this is the number of people I'm going to meet or talk to. And what's amazing is if you do this and you keep that quality activity going, your productivity will go up. And just like you with that wonderful thing you did with your company, which, that puts you in the top 1/10% of the people who've ever built a $125 million company and then marketed it, which of course, is just unheard of today for most people, which I salute you for that. And that's one reason why, I said, hey, I got to share some ideas with the folks that she talks with, because people are craving knowledge today. And if I can give them an idea to help them have a better life and they make a better income, have a better family, reach their goals, then I'm doing what I think I've been here to do, which is teach people to have a happier, more successful, fruitful life.
Amen to that. And that's exactly the reason why I do what I do, is I want to, all boats rise with the tide, right?
That's
and so
right.
we all get together and help each other, then everybody will do better, and it'll just be a greater world for everybody. And I have 3 children. I want it to be a great world for them as well. So
Sure.
It's not a handout, it's a hand up.
There you go.
That's the way I look at it. So let's see. Okay. So so if someone's saying no. Okay, I know it's going to be $25 in your pocket, but if they're not playing ball, how would you handle a situation like that? If they're just objection after objection, when do you walk away? I guess.
Well, that's an interesting, my 18th book, which is called When Buyers Say No. I always wanted to write a book that took that 2-letter word no and gave these people all these ways they can, with subtlety, with creativity, turn the no's into yeses. And so that would be my suggestion, that if a person has a challenge with rejection or no, they may want to go to my website, and I have a free resource page. Now, what this is, years ago, Joyce, I said, there's people that are new in real estate or new in computer sales, new in insurance, financial services. God bless them. Let's give them a little help. So we decided on our website to have a free resource page, which has my thank you notes, lots of ideas they can have at no charge to get started. And then, of course, our goal is if they love what we teach them and what they get, that as they mature, their income increases, that hopefully they'll look at either coming to one of my seminars or getting involved in more of our training. We have 52 training tools. So that's kind of our goal at Tom Hopkins International, is to get people started and hopefully have them be loyal people into our training for until they leave selling or retire financially independent.
There you go. That's right. And then they can be in Hawaii with Tom, right?
Yeah, there you
You're the super duper mastermind. But no, you're right about that. I started out listening to Tony Robbins because when I started my company, I was like, well, he seems to know what he's doing, right? So I bought one of his series, and I still read and listen to him all the time.
You know, it's so funny. Yeah, what's so funny is I had a seminar in Florida. This is many, many years ago. And I saw a guy sitting in the back row, and I didn't know why he wasn't sitting down at first because he looked so high. And then I walked back, and he was 21. His name was Tony Robbins.
Oh, wow.
And he was the first seminar I'd ever gone to. It was my 3-day boot camp. And so I got a chance to really get to know him and watch him. You know, we call him the Batman of infomercials because he's done so well. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there's an example of a man who found his niche, found a way to motivate people to have personal improvement. And so look for people like that. He was your first mentor. I have people come up to me. I have crazy things happen. Brian Tracy, I walked out on a patio in Hawaii, and I saw this guy laying there reading my book.
Oh, wow.
And of course, this is over 30 years ago. And I says, hey, I just thought you might like to know that I hope you're enjoying my book. Brian Tracy goes, this is your book? Well, I live in Canada, but I want to do in the seminar business. And I sat down and spent almost 2 hours sharing with him how we had, our business was about 10 years old then, how we had built our company. And again, he's done very well. He's a good man. We have a lot of value and philosophy agreements, but there's an example. You know, surround yourself with people that are like-minded to yourself, that want to help you achieve your goals, and learn from them. Why walk the road if they've walked it? They'll teach you how to walk it.
That's right. Leverage the knowledge that's available to you.
That's right.
And it's never been easier, ever.
No.
And the reason why I wrote my book, which Brian Tracy wrote an endorsement for, so
good.
Happy about that, was because at the time in '97, it was like right before the internet really got going. And I was a woman in a man's field doing something that, like you said, 0.1% of people in the world ever do that. So I was really this freak of nature, right? Running around, and I had no women to turn to have, you know, be like, and I had a child and a family, and, you know, so I thought, once I get clear of this, I'm going to write a book to give back to all the women that come after me that kind of feel like they've grabbed a tiger by the tail and what to do, and mentor them through the book. And that's why I wrote it. And, it's just so helpful to be able to look to people that have been down the road before you. And that's super cool that, you know, Tony Robbins or Brian Tracy, I mean, they're looking up to you, and there's a reason for it, which is why I feel so blessed to have you on our show today. So thank you for gifting the audience with your time today. And let me see if I've got a couple more questions, but I don't want to run over time. Let's see. Okay. So I'll end with this question. Is there a question I should have asked you that I didn't?
Oh, that's a tough question. I don't know if I've ever been asked that. Well, we have a time schedule challenge, but, you know, I think that what's the biggest mistake a person can make in the people business? And I would say that they don't work harder on themselves than they do on the job to be a person that people like, trust, and want to listen to. Mm-hmm. Like, trust, want to listen to. Make that you. And if you do, people will gravitate to you, and you'll build a huge business.
That's right. The sky's the limit, right? It's all about leadership, and that starts with yourself, right? So thank you. I appreciate you being on the show today, Tom. So is there send everybody where you want them to go in order to follow you more closely?
Well, just TomHopkins.com. They'll see my smiling face, and hopefully they can take our stuff and grow and help others grow. And because you get everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want.
That's the truth. And I actually have that on my vision board. It's all about helping a lot of people, right?
Right. Thank you so much, Joyce. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you. And just to kind of recap, we talked about so much, educate, motivate, and have fun with it in regards to selling in general. And I love that you said make selling a hobby. Just make it a hobby, because really there's so much that you can learn and you can get better and better and better, just like playing golf, right?
Exactly.
By playing golf. So I love that. I'm going to remember that. And become a master of product knowledge. And the fact that you had a 25 most important things for the people coming into your office, I think is fantastic, especially in real estate, because truly you are like green when you get your license. You're just fell off the turnip truck. And,
right.
And then build your people skills. That's fundamental. We talked about it over and over. And get yourself a master. Yes, master. A mentor. And again, you can do that by getting Tom's books and DVD, well, not DVD, MP3s. There are many ways to do that. And by listening to podcasts like this one, I mean, there's so many ways. So don't let the fact, if you don't have a physical mentor, stop you. Do what you fear most, and then consider sales a numbers game. Just remember that, if you're trying to make $100 and you get, 4 no's, the first, they're $25 a piece, because then you'll get your $100 once you get all those no's. And basically, blame everything on upper management. I love it. Blame it on upper management, right? And then offer to send them business as well. And, who can't relate to that? Like, my boss is making me do this. So those are some of the highlights for me. And I'll be sure to listen to this over again, because I want to make sure I got all your pearls of wisdom. And that pretty much wraps it up today, everybody. Good. Thanks to the listening audience for being here with us. And you can find me at Joyce Bone on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on Instagram at Joyce_Bone. I'd love to see y'all on my social media. So until next time, we will talk to you later. Bye, everyone.
All the best.